Short Stories of Minto Ravla. The name of this story is A Well Planned Accident.
At about 5 p.m., a tempo carrying 7 passengers was nearing the crossroads. The driver could see the traffic lights of the intersection. They just turned green. It was a small, not too small, and sleepy town. Traffic lights were generally ignored by all. People went through the red lights. Seeing the green light was perhaps a code signal, totally in the open for the driver to press the gas pedal to the hilt. He was coming from the west. The south and the north roads saw the red signal. It was for them speed as usual. From the south, a full truck was approaching the crossroads. From the north, a lone scooterist. The east road was without any traffic. Perhaps it was the area for the absent audience. The show was on. The truck driver had two hands. One was a working hand, other a permanently resting one. At 5 past p.m., both his hands were resting on his slightly swinging head. Head was being swung by his upper torso. Torso was moved by a vague music coming from an alien gadget in the dashboard. The driver was a meticulous planner. He had planned to use both his hands just a wee bit before the crossroads. The scooterist helmet was arduously protecting his choke and petrol knobs. It was hanging from a hook which was fixed at one end of his seat bottom. His rear tire was wobbling because of less air. He had stopped earlier at a petrol pump where the air was free. It was still free when he was told that there was no electricity and he could not get the air at any cost. He too was a planner. He planned to capture the free air in his tire at the next petrol pump. The driver of the tempo was in good mood. This was showing in his libido, which was again showing in his mood. What was not showing but smelling without care to hide were the fumes of alcohol. Alcohol, if one saw carefully, was showing in his glove compartment in the form of a half-finished bottle. It was a fiery stuff, one thought, as the driver's nose and mouth were heavily bleeding of smoke till one saw his left hand, smoker's hand, hanging out of sight near the spill of oil inches away from the floor. It was not an exploding situation for him. It was smooth, fast, and calm for him, as he too was a planner. He planned to take the bottle out of the glove compartment just after crossing the intersection. His non-smoking, wheel-titillating hand was loosening its grip and was prepared to make the planned move. In the passenger area, the tempo in the passenger area of the tempo were men, two women, and three children. One child's name was Amar. He was also to die. Men were villagers and talking non-stop of the city. Women were their women, therefore not even there. Their hearts were at homes, eyes on other women. Children were seated in a constantly shifting position. There was a game on. It was called Don't Move. To men and women, it was known as annoyance. The scooterist was thinking of his wife. The wife was thinking of the tea on the stove. The visitor for whom it was being made was thinking of coffee. The scooterist was also thinking of having coffee after he crossed the intersection, he was not to have it. The truck driver had a low opinion of tempo drivers. This was because he thought that driving a truck was a superior art. He thought of them as novelists think of the essay writers. His cleaner, who was sitting next to him, was therefore not even a writer but a poor painter. The poor painter was a poorer relation of the driver. His own painting was to be imputed because of loose iron rod inside the bonnet. That part he was moving in front of his leg slowly. Cleaner was not a planner. He was just interested in clean sleep. All these vehicles were moving towards the intersection. They were not moving towards each other, though they were to meet closely at the crossroads. There were also the law and the order. It was in the form of a uniformed traffic policeman taking a leak at the side of the intersection, his back towards all traffic lights, his heart aglow with freshly taken puffs of cannabis indica. The tempo driver did not like any bulldozing or trucking authority. That moment he was the authority on not liking any. He disliked the upper stiff lip of truck drivers, as he knew that driving a tempo was writing a fine-tuned short story and therefore a different ball game altogether. What do these moron novelists think? He spat at the second last word. Then he spat out. An ant on whom it fell almost died in this rain of alcohol, thinking joyously that finally the poetry is coming true. The ant was miles away from the intersection. It had far to go. The scooterist cursed his optician. His glasses were loose again. He used his right hand to push them back on the bridge of his nose. That way he lost speed. Again he cursed as his glasses slipped again. He was not to curse the optician ever again. One woman amongst the passengers, for a keen eye, was a man. That man was the slain brother of the driver. For the medical records, of course, one man, one woman, two children died. For police records, one woman, one man, and one child survived. No relationship of the man who was driver's brother was mentioned. Driver's brother was slain by the driver last time too, for the keen eye only. One child was an adult, and the woman she had last time poisoned, the driver had, and the woman she had the last time poisoned the driver. This poison was mixed with a heavy dose of alcohol the driver had taken. It can be safely assumed without any hangover, etc. Others had, in time or the other, indulged in inflicting certain grievous injuries on the driver. They had treated the truck cleaner similarly. The cleaner then was a truck driver. The driver of the truck then a cleaner. The cleaner then was involved in an accident in which the driver then was badly injured. The cleaner was to be badly injured. The scooterist was a cyclist then. Luck had smiled a little on him. He was never to be a scooterist again. The traffic cop was a runaway. In doing so, he had jumped several red lights. At about 5:30 p.m., he was running extremely fast. For convenience, he had shifted to the racing track, i.e., without red signals. He had otherwise no interest in the vehicle racing. He just disliked traffic lights. About 5 past 5 p.m. on a winter Sunday, the sun was, it looked, pointedly benevolent on the general area of the crossroads. Its rays were, before saying good night, withdraw, saying good night, withdrawing with warmth. Exactly at 5 past 5 p.m., the accident occurred. The truck driver had full control of the wheel as he was using his working hand and not of the vehicle as the truck pedal hand got stuck. When the collision took place, truck's front portion had rammed into the tempo. The driver of the tempo had only one hand on the wheel as he was trying to save the clutched bottle from falling with the other, as per his prepared plan. The sound of the collision was no music. It was a cacophony of hard metal on metal, metal on flesh, shrieks of human agony, silent roar of the death looking at its handiwork calmly. The scooterist's vehicle had slipped on the oil spill on the road and reached the other side safely. A moment of dazed silence stood, looking on the entire area. Amar at that moment was being wombed in Israel. A group of passerby formed a circle at a dignified distance. The intellectual component of the passers-by blamed the electricity board for having the supply of electricity at wrong times. They also discussed the police and ambulance services. One saw some connection of film music in it. On the good luck of the scooterist, none saw hand of tea thought of by his wife being made for the visitor. None gave credit to the coffee. One lone aged one, having seen but not read, said it was written. The worldly wise upcoming young man said aloud, for everyone's except his own benefit, it is God's will, and looked around proudly. The east stand was now filled with freshly made angels. They wondered in astonishment. Theirs was not to ask why they had done and died.